Well, I'd like to welcome to the show now Aaron Babbitt, the husband of Ashli Babbitt, whose life was taken that day, along with his pastor, Pastor David Scarlett. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me today, and thank you for being willing to share your lives in this very difficult situation that we all witnessed. I don't think any of us will forget where we were on January 6th and hearing the outfall of what was going on. Aaron Babbitt, thank you. You have certainly been the one probably to suffer the most from what took place that day. Can you shed some light on perhaps how that day's events unfolded for you? You were not there. It is my understanding that you felt that if you were there, maybe things could have been different, but you weren't there. And so, what was the day like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's I always look at it as survivor's remorse. Could I have done something? Could I have said something? Could I have, you know, proverbially put my foot down and said, Ash, I don't want you going to this thing. I mean, yeah, I could have tried, but I can't think about it that way. So we were down in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico for Christmas. Me and Ashley always traveled for Christmas. And she was looking at her phone and she said there's a speech that President Trump's going to be giving on the 6th in D.C., and she really wanted to go. I mean, I kind of laughed it off because we were on vacation for 2 weeks at that point. We run a small business here in San Diego. But, when Ashley has her mindset on something, the relationship we had was we always wanted the other to do what made them happy. The Aaron Babbitt you see now is not the Aaron Babbitt you saw January 5th of 2021. I could have cared less about politics. I was just so over it. But she was passionate about it. So, I fully supported her going. She bought her ticket. I think it was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And then she was in D.C. The night of the 5th. So the 6th, we had texted a couple times that day because I had to get the office up and running. And then I stopped hearing from her. And I went home early just because it was a slow day. And I got a phone call from a mutual friend of ours. I don't really talk to him unless I run into him and see him. And he said his wife thought she'd seen Ashley on TV, something about a door or a window, and it looked like she'd been hurt. And I turned my TV on immediately, and the very first image I saw was my beautiful wife laying on the ground with blood and blood coming out of her mouth and nose. And it's my life changed at that moment forever.
Yeah, yeah. So, you have your pastor here, Pastor Dave Scarlett, and I guess the two of you have been a source of strength and help to one another. What role do you play in all of this, Pastor Dave?
Well, I was there on January 6th as well, and the producer is a friend of mine, and nobody would take this film. Everybody was afraid to tell the truth about what really happened on that day. But we stood up and said we will help support this, fund this, and with one phone call, we got another party to get this movie out because it's the most censored movie ever. They do not want you to know what truly happened on January 6th. It's the most suppressed movie that these Nick Searcy and Chris Burgard have ever seen.
Tell me more about that because that's the sense I got, even listening to that clip of her grandfather talking about her, and he was very overcome. She loved Donald Trump, as do many of us, and she was committed to fighting. I guess what she saw was the injustice. So, who was she? You knew her to be a true patriot and someone who loved her country and her president.
Yep, she served 4 tours overseas. I mean, it was going to be a 5th when we started our relationship back in 2015. She was scheduled for a 5th. And she just at that point said, I've been doing this enough. I've done it for too long. She didn't want to leave me that long. She didn't want to leave her dog that long. So she got out of the military in 2015. But she never gave up her love for this country. And, for someone to put all that effort in and to sacrifice so much of their young adult time for this nation, I think Ashli had more right than most to, speak out and have her voice heard with the amount of blank checks she's written for her life going overseas in defense of this nation and others, So Ashli went there to see the president speak. I implore everybody to watch this movie because people in this country and people around the world just think a mob stormed the Capitol, and that's not what happened. There was peaceful people there, and the Capitol Police started assaulting them. But the main assault on the Capitol began before President Trump even stopped speaking. And there's a video of Ashli on her Facebook where she specifically says, "I just finished watching the president speak." And I can tell you, there's no way she's walking out of that area before he's out of sight. So she didn't get down there for a long time. I mean, it's a walk. Dave can tell you, it's a hike to get down there. So yeah,
Yes, you
she
were
got down
there.
there and
You were there, Pastor Scarlett. So, what would the walk be from seeing the president, which I understand it was a very, very cold day,
Very cold.
and yes, and so actually, some people felt he was speaking a long time, and then Ashli did this video saying, "I just, watched the president speak," and then you make your way. How long would that take to get down to the Capitol from there?
Oh, it would take you at least a half hour, if not more.
Okay.
I was at the Capitol already because it was so cold. We went back to a Airbnb, and then people wanted to see what was going on at the Capitol before these events happened. And we just happened to be there to see all this transpire. And that's where the American media and the world media has lied to people. That's why it's titled "Everything Were Told Was a Lie." I personally witnessed Antifa changing from Antifa shirts into MAGA gear. I saw Black Lives Matter do the same thing. Both Aaron and I are Marines, so I saw things from an intel perspective that didn't look right. It looked like it was, agents in the crowd stirring up trouble. Well, just lo and behold, yesterday, there's a court filing that says 20 agents were involved in January 6th.
So that's coming out now.
It's coming out now. And we know there's much more than the 20.
oh yeah.
Did you know Ashli Babbitt that day, sir?
No, I did not. I did not know Ashli Babbitt until Nick Searcy, who produced this, and Chris Burgard brought Aaron for us to meet up. And once I saw the story and heard, my heart was just absolutely breaking. I've heard this story so many times, and I pray for Aaron because I can't imagine the pain that he goes through on a daily basis, because every time we talk about it, it brings up the pain for me, for him and her mother and their family. That should never have happened. Not in the great country as the United States of America. And then on top of it, to lie. People say what they want about Ashli. She was murdered in that Capitol building. No ifs, ands, or buts.